Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Brian Henson film, The Happy Time Murders. Brian Henson has been a part of Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, Muppets in Space. He's been a part of tons of productions. He is the son of Jim Henson, who's worked on, the Muppet films, Labyrinth, Dark Crystal. Jim Henson's been known for tons of stuff. He has the Jim Henson Creature Shop, which is still up and going and still making puppets for films and so forth. But in this latest Brian Henson film, The Happy Time Murders, it's about a detective named Phillips, and he is in charge of a case involving the death of his brother and all these other cast members who are part of a show called The Happy Time Gang. And it's up to kind of him and his partner, Melissa McCarthy, to solve the case. They have to figure out who's doing this, why they're doing it, why they're specifically after the Happy Time Gang. It's very much in the spirit of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and throughout the course of this movie, they have to figure out this case. So overall, guys, I really liked Happy Time Murders a lot. I wouldn't say it's quite as good as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, since I just referenced that. That film was about humans and animation living together. This one's about humans and puppets living together. So I thought Happy Time Murders wasn't as good as that other film, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it's still an enjoyable film. I thought it was very funny. Its X-rated humor I thought was very well. They still had a good story going for it. So there's still tons of great stuff going for Happy Time Murders. But like I said, not quite in the level of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but still a very good movie. So overall, guys, for my positives and negatives of Happy Time Murders, I thought the idea of humans and puppets coexisting together in the same world, I thought that aspect of the film was handled really well. I thought you really got the impression that that's kind of been going like that for a while. It's kind of frowned upon when a puppet wants to become a cop or wants to be a doctor or so forth. Like there's all these real world problems going on in this course of the world of the story, and it's kind of been ongoing. So I kind of like how this film kind of addresses those things and still manages to be kind of a very funny Muppet-esque kind of movie. So I thought that aspect of the film was handled very well. I also like the overall Phillips character and his Melissa McCarthy partner. I thought the two of them had great chemistry. Normally, I'm not a fan of Melissa McCarthy, but I thought in this film her character was handled very well. And for the most part, her performance was pretty good too. So I liked seeing the two of them work together. And it was just fun seeing their character chemistry play out over the course of this movie. This film is definitely in the spirit of a Muppet spoof. I definitely got the impression of a film that's kind of spoofing the Muppets, spoofing puppeteering, spoofing kind of like these shows where humans and puppets were living together, kind of like what this film is trying to do. They definitely spoof the Muppets in a kind of a clever way, so I thought that aspect of the film was handled very well also. And there is some very funny X-rated moments in this movie. I can't go into detail, and I probably shouldn't share them on camera with this video being available to the public eye and everything, but they are very funny. They are very good. Like I said, they handle story and comedy very well in this movie, so I thought it was a good balance of the two things there. So I thought that aspect of the film, as far as regarding like the X-rated moments, was handled very well. This is also a very fun murder mystery kind of story. It wasn't super obvious, but at the same time, there was just enough there to kind of keep you guessing and keep you guessing as to why this person was doing that, or why this person slash puppet slash whatever was doing this. So I thought the overall murder mystery of this film was very fun to uncover and go through. I also thought the Happy Time Gang characters were also a ton of fun. It was kind of fun to see where they ended up after the Happy Time Gang ended its run on television. Certain characters ended up just perfectly okay, while others didn't turn out okay. Some of them got involved in gangs. Some of them got involved with prostitution and stuff like that. So there's tons of stuff that these characters ended up doing after the Happy Time Gang ended its course on television, and so it was kind of fun to uncover what exactly happened to those characters over the course of this movie. For my negatives of Happy Time Murders, though, I thought there wasn't enough real-world puppet do's and don'ts rules, because one thing Who Framed Roger Rabbit did that this film didn't do is Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of established what kind of animated character, or a toon and what they call them in that film, the toons. What are they allowed to do? What can't they do? What happens when they commit murder and stuff. And that film also had the dip, so also like animated characters couldn't be exposed to the dip, or else they would basically evaporate into that goo material for those who remember the Who Framed Roger Rabbit movie. And unfortunately, Happy Time Murders doesn't really have that. The closest they have is like instead of just being shot with a gun or being killed like a person would be killed, they have things like, they can't be around dogs, they can't be around things that would rip their arms and leg off because it's more fragile than people arms and legs are and stuff. So there's small stuff like that they establish, but there's just not enough of it. And that's something I wish that the Happy Time Murders established more in this movie. I also thought the musical score was either very absent or very weak. When it's there, it's just kind of serviceable, and when it's not there, it feels kind of like it needs a musical score. So I thought they could have really upped the antics as far as, spoofing the Muppets by adding a musical score that could have been in the spirit of the Muppets. And unfortunately, this film doesn't do that as well as you think it would have done. There's also some claustrophobic and small film sets in this movie. Some sets in this film really look very movie-ish. They really don't feel like they belong anywhere in the real world. They really just feel like they're kind of there to allow the puppeteering to happen, allow kind of these characters to just kind of do what they have to do to get through the scene and stuff. So for me personally, some of the sets felt kind of fake. They felt just a little claustrophobic and small for their own good. So I thought that's one thing that the film could have handled better, specifically when they're in like apartments and small range areas and stuff like that. Some of the jokes also fall very flat in this movie. For every good joke, for every X-rated joke that lands, there's also just as many jokes that don't land and fall flat. So I thought that aspect of the film could have been handled better as well. And this film also needed more laughs overall. Yes, it's funny. Yes, when the jokes land, they land very well. I do feel like this film needed more laughs, though. I went to the theater with a friend of mine for this movie, and him and I kind of agreed. We laughed when it was funny, but there just could have been more of those moments. There just could have been more jokes that could have landed better. So I thought this film could have benefited from more laughs in this movie. Also, on the moments where it's like somebody by themselves, when it's a person and no Muppets or puppets or any of those characters around, so no Phillips or anything. I thought on moments where it's either just Melissa McCarthy or just the secretary, or there's even some scenes where the two of them share a scene together and there's no puppets around at all. Some of those solo human moments are just very lame. They just feel very fake and claustrophobic and don't really work very well as far as jokes are concerned. So I thought some of those moments could have been handled better. Either add a puppet or two in there or do something, because whenever it's just people by themselves in certain moments, it just kind of feels flat and lame as a result. But overall, I'm going to give the Happy Time Murders an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a very good film. I think if you kind of like this idea of Muppets being spoofed and kind of being put in an X-rated setting and kind of borrowing the whole Who Framed Roger Rabbit of humans and some other kind of being living together kind of deal, I think you'll like this movie. I personally enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough to recommend it, but there's nothing super special about it or super wrong with it to either make you avoid it or watch it all the time or anything like that. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. I do recommend the Happy Time Murders, but do go in knowing that it's not a perfect film. There is a lot of flaws to it. So I do recommend Happy Time Murders, but like I said, go into this film knowing that it's not perfect and there's going to be things about it that I don't think everybody's going to enjoy about it.